Hi, I'm putting this video up on YouTube for the reference of an eBay ad to sell this camera, which is a Pentax 645Z medium format camera. I'm selling the camera because I had a studio that I was renting. It wasn't a well-suited studio. It had low ceilings, so I got a lot of bounce light. There was little to no natural light, and generally the studio was just too small. So that's why I'm selling this camera. I've had it a little bit over a year, I would say, and ever since I closed the studio down, this thing's just been sitting around in my hard case. Anyway, so I'll bring in the lens a little bit later. The lens is going to be on a separate eBay ad. I'm going to post both ads on this camera body and also that lens, which is a DA645, the only zoom available for this camera. And I'll talk about why I chose a zoom over the primes. So anyway, so what I'll just say real quickly is this camera here, all these items that you see is part of the sale, that you're going to get all these items. Everything here came with the original purchase. I bought this camera from an authorized dealer here in Los Angeles, and they were also authorized to sell Hasselblad in phase 1. And in fact, the similarities between all three brands, Pentax, Hasselblad, phase 1, and of course in different body types, they all use the same Sony sensor. So you're talking about a very high quality sensor that's also used in cameras that sell for anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000, $70,000 if you throw in the lenses. So yeah, so that's what I'll say about this. No box, no shutter count is roughly about 5,100, maybe a little bit less than 5,100 shutter count. No registration, never sent it in. I'm guessing it's already out of warranty because it's over 12 months old. I was looking for the registration in hopes that I could put it in this video, but I couldn't find it. So this camera was bought in LA, and by the way, if you live in LA, or if you have a friend in LA that you want to come check out this camera before you put a bid on it or anything like that, I can meet you somewhere. You can come to my place, and you can take a look at the camera firsthand yourself. So what you're going to get is so I'll just go through every item. So this came with the camera. This is a eye cup, nice silken rubbery feel to it. I never used it because I shoot with eyeglasses, but of course that's coming with the sale of the camera. The camera came with only one battery, and I was really concerned because look at the size of this battery. It's really light, it's really small, and I was concerned that if I had a long day shoot, like 8-9 hour shoot, that I would run out of energy on this one battery. So immediately I went ahead and ordered a second battery. It's also a Pentax. It's identical. It's a Pentax OEM battery. And to my surprise, when I did have a long day shoot. It was about 10 hours. Now, granted, I mixed in the shots with my Canon 1Ds, but for the most part, this camera was pretty much on the whole time. And to my surprise, even with the big lens that I'll show you in a little bit, this battery had hardly like 50% usage on it. I never even had to go to the second battery. So I don't know how Pentax did it, but they made an extremely efficient camera body and camera lens, especially being medium format, right? So never hurts to have two batteries. So the other item is that I ordered this off, I think Amazon. It's a Pentax branded. It's an infrared remote that's basically a shutter release. I think there's some other functions here. I don't know what they do, but it's a infrared remote. It's really nice to have this off-camera shutter control. Yeah, again, it's fairly inexpensive. Bought it off of Amazon. This is pretty obvious. This is the battery charger. This is charging cord. And let's see. So yeah, I've gotten a discussion about these items. So next, I'll talk about these items that come with it. And I don't know if you can see this thing. It has a nice logo on it, and it has the same consistency as a credit card. It's roughly the size of a credit card. There's areas where you can write, I think, serial number, your name, or whatever you want to write on it. Obviously, I've never written on it. I don't know what it's used for, but it's nice looking. The other thing is that this DVD comes with the sale of this camera. I do not know what's on this DVD. I've never even tried to load anything on it, just because when I got the camera, I loaded the RAW files and or JPEG files onto my computer that's running Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, and it just seamlessly brought in the images. The RAW editor on Lightroom works perfectly with the raw images here. So I've never had to load anything in addition to Lightroom, and the less software on your computer, the less bloatware, the less just utilities that you don't need, the better off you are. So if you get it and you do need whatever is on here, then that's up to you. What you'll see is that there's two manuals, and it's kind of a little confusing to me, and maybe to you as well. One is called the operating manual. The other one is called the menu reference. And you kind of need both manuals together because they reference each other back and forth. So it's a good idea to get kind of familiar with this. You can download this off the Pentax website and just kind of get an understanding of what the reasoning is about it going back and forth. I think you can download different language versions as well. Now this one is it does say EN, which means it's an English version manual. And this is, I assure you, I'm the original owner, like I said, and this is a United States version camera. Now, there are a lot of cameras on sale on eBay that are shipping out of Japan, shipping out of China. I don't know, they might very well be the same cameras with different languages on the manuals. Or they could be considered gray market. So I'll bring in the lens that I bought with this, and it's a zoom lens, the only one that comes with it. Now there's a lot of prime lenses that you can get with this camera that are low cost, and I'm sure they're in great, they're great quality prime lenses. But the issue with that is, and I'll show you a little bit more about it, is the lens ring. And the less movement or the less lens changes that you make, you're preserving the life of the lens ring. These are really well-made lens rings, and in fact, let me show you here. So if you look at, again, this lens is not for sale with this ad. I will put a separate ad for this lens, and you can bid on one or both or whatever you want. So the importance of the reason I chose a zoom is because, like I said, the less lens changes that you make while you're out, even in your studio, it could be dusty or whatever. The less ring changes or the less lens changes you make, right? This one you can see it's extremely high quality. It's stainless steel, it's solid. It has like a little rubbery I guess it's a moisture prevention type seal to it. And of course there's a bunch of electrical contacts. So each time you kind of make a lens change, you're introducing, one, the opportunity to drop it, and two, that moisture might get in or dust or whatever. But more importantly, I think you'll wear out the lens mount sooner than you might want. Now I'm guessing all the Pentax lenses are of the same quality, so I don't think that's a big concern. But again, 3-4 years down the road, you might see it wiggle a little bit or whatever if it's a lesser quality lens ring. For example, some of the DSLRs I see, even some of the higher end ones, they use like aluminum, and of course some of the lower end cameras that you look at, cameras from like Costco or something like that, they even have like plastic lens mounts, and to me that's just a joke. I mean, you might get it home and it might work great for you for a couple months, and then later on it starts to wiggle on you. And the other thing is, when I show you the hard case, I always mount the hard case or the lens and the camera body separately. You don't want to mount it together because, like I said, you're going to put this kind of torquing action on the lens mount, and that's the last thing you want to do. And look at this is a very large configuration. What I will say about it is that even though I think this is the biggest lens that will actually fit on this camera. So it's quite large, as you can see. Now the zoom range is not a whole lot. It's 28 to 45 millimeters. It's not the widest range in terms of zoom, but it's for my needs where I shot apparel and it's kind of fashion photography. It's just enough that you can keep the tripod in the same spot and your subject in the same spot, and you can just enough to get the whole body, half body, 3/4, whatever you need. without having to move the camera around or changing prime lenses on and off. And without, if you get prime lens, we're gonna have to do the old school, movement zoom, right? And that always is just, to me, very unsafe. So having just a little bit of zoom, I think is a really good idea, and that's why I spent more money on this thing, this lens. And I just want to say, so even though it looks really big, so if you look at the grip on this camera body, it's really deep, and it just feels really sturdy and confident. Yeah, so for the size, it's very easy to maneuver and carry around. And then if you put your hand right kind of center point of the lens and the body, it's just super, it doesn't feel like as heavy as it looks. It's very maneuverable. It just feels great. So that'll bring me to my next point. This strap that comes with the body, camera body, when I ordered it, I've never used it, never will, because to me, this camera strap is just a joke, and I think they just include a camera strap for the sake that every other manufacturer includes one. The reason I say it's a joke, because look how flimsy this strap is, right? And it's got all these plastic clips, and I'm guessing that they go onto these little, even less secure clips on the side of the cameras. There was one on each side. So yeah, this is just not something I would trust, an investment like this with. So, but anyway, you're gonna get the strap. Whether you want to use it or not is up to you. Okay, so here I am. This is a hard case. I don't know the brand of it. There's several brands that make this a very similar quality hard case. They're not very expensive. I mean, certainly compared to the investment you're making on the lens of the camera. I don't know. They're maybe $100, $200 or whatever it is. And you can pull out the foam so that everything is really snug, right? So it's like this. Now, you might say, well, it's loose there, but once you close the lid, right, the pressure from this top sponge kind of, forces it to stay in place. So that's how I mount this camera, and that's how I would recommend you do it. Okay, so I'm back. Now I'm going to show you just kind of a close-up look at this camera and the way I've kept it, and I can say it's nearly new condition. The photographs that come out of this thing is just tremendous, especially with the lens I showed you earlier. And yeah, so let me just kind of bring it up close. So I just want to be totally upfront and say that the only real blemish that I can notice is, if you look on top here, there's maybe 4 or 5 real faint scratches. I don't even know if you can see it on this, but anyway, if you can't, the way I got them, let me just show you. And in no way do these scratches affect the functionality of the camera or the shots, the results, or anything like that. It's just simply some scratches. And the reason I got them is because I use ProPhoto strobes. They're wireless strobes, so they require a transmitter. So this transmitter for my ProPhoto strobes fits in the hot shoe like this. I don't know if you can see it. And in the cases where I was in a hurry and I wasn't careful, when you remove it, this part scratches this top part. If you take it off carefully, you'll never create a scratch here. So I just want to explain that in full disclosure, and that scratch is there. So now let me do a full rotation of the camera for you. And what I'll point out is that, anytime whether it be an iPad, a computer, whatever, or even a phone, if you drop it, the first thing that'll get a dent or scratch is going to be the corners. And I assure you, I'm going to do a just slow rotation here so you can see every corner. Right, so these corners here, not a scratch. Take a look at all that, and it's just it's just like new. And what I'm gonna do is, let's see, let me turn this on. I think I got the battery in there. So you can see the LCD display here. It's really nice, even in this bright light that I have on me, this continuous bright LED light that I'm using right now. You can see it's very, very readable. It's very usable. So that's something I really like. And it's also great for viewing the shots that you took. So what I will say, one thing is that, actually before I get there, let me just show you the kind of the insides here. So you're not going to be able to see a whole lot, right? But I'll have a little trick to show you the quality of the sensor. So that's the mirror. I don't know what might be the better angle, but yeah. So the mirror's in there. You can see, and I flip it up. Hopefully there's a way. Okay, so obviously from the naked eye, from this photo, I mean from this video, you can't see really if there's truly, you know, a density defect or something like a pixel defect or anything like that. But I'll show you a little trick. And that little trick is really easy. It's just kind of like taking a white balance calibration shot where you shoot a like either a perfectly white background. So the shot I just took, if you can see, right? So I shot a blank white image, and this is what I get, a blank white image. And that's really important, because if there was any sign of dust or pixel defect, you would be able to see that right there. And you know, I would encourage that if any camera that you buy, you know, something, you know, pretty high-end DSLR or whatever, have the person that you're buying from maybe put up a little YouTube, or just put up a photo of, you know, that clear white image that I just showed you. If they're hesitant to do it, I don't know, maybe you should rethink buying that camera. But so that's how you kind of really view, I think, the quality of the sensor, and that's the most important thing, right? So you know, hard switches and buttons are always more expensive to make, like compared to a touchscreen. This is not a touchscreen, which is what I really like about it. And I think a lot of old school photographers will tell you touchscreens are really annoying, because, like I said, you could have a whole bunch of people hired, and you're, you know, on a photo shoot day, and all of a sudden you accidentally swipe the touchscreen and all your settings are changed. Then you're fumbling around, you're spending the next 15 minutes fumbling around with a bunch of people you're paying sitting there. Whereas, you know, with these hard buttons, they just feel great, the tactile feel of it, the feedback, and you can assign, I think, user function buttons here. There's a front rotary dial, there's a rear rotary dial. I think all of them are assignable to different functions if you like, to customize it the way you want it. And you know, during the shoot, unless you really bump one of these controls, nothing's going to change, right? So you know, you're not going to have to deal with cumbersome touchscreen. So anyway, so that's a huge benefit. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you make a bid on eBay for it if it's the right camera for you. Yeah, if you have any comments, please leave them in the eBay section questions. That way, when I answer the question, everybody will be able to see it. And just don't put the comments on the YouTube